Funding for Around the Farm Table is provided in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, a member-driven organization for family farmers, rural communities, and all people. Wisconsin Farmers Union, united to grow family agriculture. Information at wisconsinfarmersunion.com.
Welcome to the farm. I'm just finishing up with the last few cows milking. I've got my nephews helping me today. And in exchange for their help, I'm taking them on a picnic in the pasture. I'm making pork pies and a blackcurrant fool. For these ingredients, I'll be going to Hilltop Community Farm in Laval, Wisconsin to learn about forest gardening and to pick up the blackcurrants. And then it's off to my neighbors, the Deutsch family, for pastured pork. Gather with us around the farm table. I'm your host, Inga Witcher.
Gather with us around the farm table.
A few years ago, I moved up to Wisconsin. I started an organic dairy farm at St. Isidore's Mead. That's when I discovered the abundance of Midwestern local food and small-scale farmers, growing everything from green zebra tomatoes to pasture pork. I'm taking a break from the cows, hitting the road, and seeing if I can't satisfy my epicurious appetite. Here at St. Isidore's Mead, we milk our cows using a bucket milking system. It's really convenient for us, and it also is wonderful because we're making a small batch cheese, and the bucket system, it helps the fats in the milk stay together better. A lot of farmers are using stall barns with a pipeline system. Also effective for them is a milking parlor. And growing in popularity is the robotic milkers, where the cows can come in and out and milk themselves as they please. We can't produce a lot of milk at our farm, but what we can do is try to produce the highest quality milk that we can. There's a lot of different factors to doing that, but most importantly is how we milk that cow. We always want to make sure that they're clean and comfortable and happy. The first thing we do is we start by washing that cow off with a wet towel. Ethan, can you hand me a towel, please? Yeah, there you go. I'm just going to remove any debris, any dirt from her udder. Get it nice and clean. This also stimulates her to let her milk down. And then Mason, I'm going to get that dry towel from you, please. And then I'll dry her thoroughly. Get that udder nice and dry so that I know it's nice and clean. Here, you guys want to hold this for me? And then now I'm going to strip the cow out. I'm stripping out the first of her milk just to check for any impurities. And this is where she also holds the majority of her somatic cell count. That's her white blood cells that are we don't want to have in the milk. So we're getting those out as well. As well as she's just, you know, she knows now it's time for milking. So there we go. Good job, Bridget. Okay, now it's time to put the unit on. It's important not to over milk that cow. And the last thing that we do, let me just get this out of the way, is we're going to dip that cow with an iodine solution. Try to do that within 30 seconds of taking that unit off. Okay, now that we're done here, I'm going to get cleaned up and go off for some wonderful ingredients for our picnic this afternoon. Do you guys want to go with me or stay with Uncle Joe?
Uncle Joe.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, have a good time. Give me kisses. Thanks for the help. I'm at Hilltop Community Farm in Laval, Wisconsin. Farmers Rob and Aaron do forest gardening, they do a CSA, and they're also hosting an event called Current Events, pun intended. They're going to be talking about currants today, forest gardening, sheep mulching, and a host of other things. So let's go learn about currants, mingle with some other farmers, and have a great day.
We're looking at like about just under a 1 acre orchard. The farm itself is 60 acres. And so we are all about small scale and diversity as kind of our risk management and seed bank, if you will. So our CSA, our vegetable production's on about 8,000 square feet. So for those of you who are like, where do I start? Well, start somewhere. You can start small toward big impact. And we'll talk about a little bit the design, which has worked well and both from a production side so far, as well as kind of a social metaphoric side. But we basically had 4 main planting strips, and we did like 20 different guilds. So, I mean, are folks kind of familiar with the idea of a guild? The formal definition is like a perennial polyculture of multi-purpose plants that share resources or create networks of mutual support. So you can grow your own food and fuel and fiber and fertility and pharmaceuticals and fun. So lots of F words all lined up in the forest garden. Our design kind of criteria was find fruits that are grower friendly, well adapted to the area, and are really highly nutritional. So a lot of these fruits like quince and elderberry and currants and Saskatoon, or Juneberries, some people may know them as, are pretty high in antioxidants, and they kind of blow blueberries actually off the antioxidant chart. These are our honeyberries, and we have a couple like blue Pacific, Arctic blue, and I forget the third one. We tried Kamchatka, which is funny because that's where honeyberries are native to, the Kamchatka Peninsula of Siberia. But they didn't like it here. It must have been too warm. But anyway, like these also need another pollinator. So planting them, and I know a few folks from Richland County are doing a lot of honeyberries, and they have some good expertise there too. But the more like mixed ones you can add together, and we think if you add them sort of close together to ensure pollination, that'll help. We did start out with gooseberry, and the irony is gooseberries are growing all over our woods. But we grew them here, and only 2 survived, and I accidentally weed whacked them the first year or so. But I think that was because like they like it shadier. And that variety there is American elderberry. It's in the native one. But we like to we'll just harvest the whole umbel and freeze it, and it's a lot easier than to like they'll just kind of more shatter right off the umbel.
So then you take them off.
So then we don't have to worry about like the funky green film that you know you don't want to consume too much of.
And the umbel is a cluster of fruit.
Cluster of fruit, yes.
You guys are growing all these things I never thought possible to grow in Wisconsin.
And that's been kind of a theme at our farm too, I think, like really focusing on design and what we can do, but then also inviting other people into helping us get feedback and shape the story.
So when we went to do the orchard, we wanted to see if we could find some similar crops that once they were established wouldn't take a lot of effort, they wouldn't be bothered by insects or diseases, and would produce a reliable crop of food that would hopefully be novel and inspire people's interest.
The quince growers again. Who else is growing quince? So it had a peculiar kind of taste to it too, which did not appeal to me, so I was not enthused about the quince. A couple of years ago, we actually had the first 1 or 2 fruits off these trees. And I have to say I was really impressed. This particular variety tastes, it's kind of like a hard Granny Smith apple is about what it tastes like. It's a little harder than that. So the mouth feels a little bit challenging for fresh eating, but I think people could be convinced that it is a fruit worth buying. That's what we're hoping.
So this is kiwi. Oh, wow, that is. So lesson learned here, if you're gonna plant kiwi, invest in trellising unless you're happy climbing trees. But trees make good trellises too.
Yeah, it's all the way up.
Yeah, I planted it and I just thought, well, you know, it was just a lark. I'd forgotten it was even here, and like one year I came out and there were blossoms on it, and I was like, what? I can't.
It worked!
Is this really going to happen? Because I thought maybe it blossomed and the blossoms would fall off every year, and I just never noticed it. And ever since then, it's produced a great crop every single year.
They'll get about the size of your thumbprint, and they're not fuzzy. But
what do they taste like? Do they taste like a kiwi?
Yeah, it tastes like a kiwi. Yep, and you actually want to harvest them when they're like that puckery avocado green, funky 70s look. That's when they're at their best.
How do you market them?
through our CSA and then buy the pint or the pound.
Laugh when you're happy and cry when you're sad. Going up, going on a ride, going up, have a little fun. Going up, going on a world, going up to see my girl.
Hey, it's nice to see you, Inga.
Yeah, thank you guys for saving these for me.
Yeah, I just picked them yesterday.
For you.
Awesome.
I'll give the money to her. That's okay, right?
Goes to both places.
Well, thank you guys. It was fun. I came for Currents and I got a whole lot more. I was glad that I got to come for the Current events. Great job you're doing here.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Come up and see me sometime.
We'd love to.
Okay.
We will. Thank you.
I'm taking the back way into the Deutsch family farm, right through the wheat fields. I first met the Deutsch family a few years ago after my husband and I, we went to this little bakery right here in Osseo. And we saw there was local pork on the menu. So we asked, well, who are the people doing this local pork? And the lady gave us the brochure for the Deutsch family. So we came over, had a tour of the farm, bought some pork, took it home, came back, got more, and continued that over the years. And we've been able to build a friendship. Right now they're actually custom grazing some of my calves. We've babysat their kids, and we've been able to form a friendship and build a community around finding out who's growing our food. And that's just one of the many benefits. Come on, let's see if they're home.
So what's going on out here? This is really nice.
These pigs have been in here for 24 hours, so you can see how quickly they
can root everything up.
Tear it up so they have some cooler dirt to lay on. These are mothers, and they will have babies the first week of September, so a little over a month.
Okay. How many babies do they have at once?
About 10.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. It's nice and cost effective because what do they have, like a couple litters a year?
2, yep.
How do you decide what to keep, what to breed back to and what to keep, and how's that process?
Trying to find old genetics, the way pigs used to be raised before confinement.
Yeah. We have really old lines of Duroc and Hampshire and Berkshire, and our market pigs are a mix of all 3 of those. We've been doing this for 7 years now, and we finally found a good marbling.
I know that your pigs are really important to you guys, and the welfare that you put into your pigs it's really important to always make sure they're happy. And are you guys certified humane as well?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
So what does that take? What kind of commitment does that take to make sure that your pigs are well cared for?
I think the biggest factor on flavor is stress.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We try to raise everything stress-free. They like to have certain size groups, and if they're overcrowded, then they fight. Do everything we can to prevent stress. So if it's too hot, then we try to keep them cool, shade, water them down. If it's cold, then we try to give them lots of bedding for them to bury themselves in to stay warm.
A lot of people might say, well, you'd be more profitable if you farmed differently, if you, had them more confined and you were able to raise more animals.
Well, it's a concern to be profitable, but...
Yeah.
We don't ever want to hear a squealing pig. They just grow so much faster when they're healthy and clean and happy. We try to keep the pens as clean as possible. Pigs are just really susceptible to sickness, so they can catch pneumonia really easy. I mean, there's a misconception of you can put a pig anywhere, and well, if you have 1 or 2 maybe, but not if you're going to make a living. So.
And especially when you're trying to do things organically, that preventative care is really important.
Right, because we can't medicate them, and it does affect how the meat tastes if they live in filth.
Because if you take some genetics, they wouldn't survive being raised this way outside this far north.
Or in open pens even.
Right.
Genetics have been manipulated enough that the psychology of pigs has changed over the years that a lot of breeds can't even handle being together. You know, when you hear on the news that they're going to change confinement barn settings and get rid of gestation crates, the pigs that are in those barns can't even live together. They'll kill each other.
My family.
So there's a behavior issue, and we have 2 little kids. So we have number 1, we pick for meat quality, and then number 2, these pigs have to be nice enough to
be around
tolerate all of us. Yeah.
sometimes I give gifts to, especially my mother-in-law. She always likes it. And one of the things that she says is how it reminds her of what pork tasted like 40 years ago. It's this wonderful flavor and texture of this old world pork. It's always a wonderful thing to be able to share with someone. So thank you guys. Nice to see you again. Yeah, I'll see you soon.
So we're going to turn the currants into a fool. A fool is a traditional British dessert, and it's often used with more of a bitter fruit. So say like a rhubarb or currants, even gooseberries. The purpose is to have that the sour fruit kind of complemented with the softer cream, and it gets the flavors really going well. So what I did is I took a pint of the currants that we had, and I stewed them with a cup of sugar and just a tablespoon of water. If you add too much water, it can get really syrupy, and you don't want that. You want it just to be, you know, thick and incorporate that sugar in. And as you can see, it's just a beautiful dark purple flavor. I was surprised to find out at the current events just how healthy currants really are. They're full of those antioxidants, and they even have 3 times more vitamin C than an orange. So we're putting these into a dessert, but it's a healthy dessert. So I've got about a cup of cream I'm using, and then just a hint of vanilla. Oops, there we go. And some powdered sugar to add a little bit of sweetness. It's really easy to assemble your fools. You can do it one of 2 ways. Fill the bottom of a nice little glass, and I'm using these. It could be a total mistake to take these out into a pasture, but that's okay. That's what they're for. And I'm gonna pile the whipped cream on top. That way when you're putting your spoon in, you can dig down and get a little bit of those berries. You could even layer this like a parfait. Let's just see what that looks like. A little bit of the juice there. And maybe finish it with a little dabble do you there. It seems like a lot of farmers these days are adding currants and edible forest to their farmland. So it's nice to have a couple aces in the hole when it comes to making these. I'm also going to try to make some into some beautiful chutneys as well. I think that'll go good with pork later on this year. And I can can it and have it ready. But I think I'm going to freeze some of the ones that I bought and make currant fools all winter long. Top these off. These are so beautiful. They need a little bit of green though, so top these off with a little bit of lemon balm if you have it, or mint. I've got lots of lemon balm growing in my garden, so I'm going to use that today. And you could even use a few whole currants. Add a little bit more color. And now you've got a nice little dessert for your picnic in the pasture. All right, we're going to start with making the pork pies. These are a fantastic food to take on a picnic. They're individual, so everyone can have their own pie, walk around with it, do whatever they want. And the kids love these, and really simple to make. We're going to start by chopping up some rosemary. You can use whatever herb you have. I was going to use sage and thyme, but my sage and thyme didn't come back over the course of this growing season, so my rosemary did. So I'm going to use the rosemary. And experiment with what flavors you want to have in there. Alrighty, now 1 onion. Now I've added the rosemary and now the onion to 2 pounds of that minced pork that we picked up from Allison and Jim. Okay, that smells good in the kitchen. So to this now I'm going to add about a tablespoon or so of mustard powder. You could also use the English mustard if you had something like that on hand. Right, there we go. Worcestershire sauce, and season with salt and pepper. Good chunk of cracked pepper here. Okay, and finally we're gonna add about a teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. This is one of my favorite things to do. I love grating fresh nutmeg. smells good. Okay, now I'm just gonna stir this all together and get it nice and combined. This recipe too would work well like in the fall when the apples are getting ripe and you've got plenty of those, and maybe chop them up really fine and add them to this pie. Pork and apple and nutmeg, I think would be fantastic together. I'm gonna try that later on this year. Okay, for this pie we're gonna use a lard crust today. I've got 5 cups of flour in my Cuisinart with a little bit of salt, and on my stovetop I have a cup of water and a half a cup of lard that I dissolved in there so it's a nice liquid. And I'm just gonna put that in my measuring cup so I can pour it easier, but this is our liquid for our pie dough. So, on with the Cuisinart, and in we go. It starts to come together. We know it's done, and I think there's gonna be enough water in there. It looks good. And it's always the temper of the day. You know, if it's a humid day, you might have to use less water. This is a fun dough to work with for something like this because it's really flexible. So it's not like a butter crust that I sometimes use that it's always breaking apart. This one, it holds, it's like Play-Doh almost, it holds together. If you're gonna use lard for baking, ask your butcher to save the leaf lard. That's the lard found around the kidney of the pig, and it's the cleanest and flavorless, odorless. It's the best for baking. So use the leaf lard, specifically render it down for your baking. Now you can use all the other fat just for your frying, your potatoes, for making a savory pie crust like we're doing today, or anything else that you're gonna use it for. Lard is also prized for having the same healthy fats as avocado and olive oil. So we might think it's sounds a little bit unhealthy, but it's not. It's really good for you. As long as you're getting it from pigs that have been raised on pasture and they're exposed to eating good things. Save about 1/3 of that dough, set it aside, and wrap it up in something. I'm just gonna place this over, keep some of that heat in so it's easier to work with. And now we're gonna roll out the bottom crust for these pies. Lightly flour your surface there. Roll it out pretty thin, and now we're ready for cutting out the dough. I use like in a dessert-sized plate because you want this to overlap in your muffin tins a little bit, and my muffin tins are the bigger ones because I thought since it's a meal they should be a little bit bigger. So just make sure it overlaps, falls over in your muffin tin a little bit. We're ready to fill our pies. I love making pies. I make a lot of pies because I love that you have a shell and filling, and they're so versatile, and everybody likes them. And these are they're not a small meal. I'm packing them with pork here so that everybody gets filled up. When I get to the tops, I kind of almost make a little mound. I'm just fitting it all in here. All right, and for the lids, I found, don't ask me how, that the martini glass is a perfect size for the lids. And I have the extra big martini glasses, so you only have to fill them up once. That's 4, 5, 6. Get that out. Okay, now just scrunch your lids, just like you would with a pie. Take an egg yolk slightly beaten and then brush that over the tops of your pies. That's what's going to give it that beautiful golden brown look. Pop your pork pies, say that 3 times fast, in the oven at 350 for a half hour. After the buzzer goes off, take your pies out of the muffin tin and then put them right back down on your cookie sheet. Brush them again around the sides with the egg yolk. Pop them back in the oven, this time at 400 for another half hour, and then you'll be ready to eat them. Well, I hope this has inspired you to find some farmers in your area to take on a picnic. And I hope you'll gather with us next time around the farm table. I'm your host, Inga Witcher.
I wish I had one of those robots at my farm.
Funding for Around the Farm Table is provided in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, a member-driven organization for family farmers, rural communities, and all people. Wisconsin Farmers Union, united to grow family agriculture. Information at wisconsinfarmersunion.com.